Okay, so JVM means Java Virtual Machine. Java Virtual Machine. I'll tell you what is a JVM. Let us imagine there is a Java program called as example.java. If you want to execute this program, right, let us say this is the program to add two numbers. If you enter two numbers, it adds those two numbers. That is the program. If you want to execute this program, first we need to compile it and then we need to execute it. These are the two steps we do have. If you have an idea about a Java program, these are the two steps we do. First we compile the code, next we execute the code. As part of compilation, we give Java C example.java. Upon compilation, it generates a file called as .class file. This is also called as bytecode. And for execution of a Java program, we give like Java space ex. Then upon giving Java command, a component will be invoked. That component is nothing but JVM. And the class file which is generated, right? This class file will be loaded to JVM. Hi Venkatesh, we just started. This is the first point we are discussing. So this particular class file will be loaded to JVM and then we get the output. So here just understand JVM is Java Virtual Machine. It is the execution engine of a Java program. If you want to execute a Java program, right? If you want to execute a Java program, we need JVM. That is very, very important. Without JVM, we could not execute any Java program. That is the first point I want to tell you. Now, this is the case of Java. What happens in Websphere? You all know that in Websphere, developers develop the application. And they give us in the form of .ear. If you remember yesterday's class or before yesterday's class, I told you, right? .ear is the application we get from developers. This is the format of enterprise application. Okay. This is the format of enterprise application. So where we are hosting it, where we are deploying it, we are hosting it in Websphere. So here if you closely observe left hand side and right hand side, a Java program we are loading into JVM, then only we are getting output. Here also .er file is nothing but a Java program. .er file is nothing but a Java program. We are loading it to Websphere application server in order to access the application or in order to make the application available to the end user. So simply saying, Websphere application server is nothing but a JVM. It acts like a JVM. Websphere application server is nothing but a JVM. It acts like a JVM. In organizations, right, we don't call Websphere application servers. We just call JVMs. Both are same. If you call Websphere application server or if you call JVM, both are same. Hope everyone got my point, guys. Websphere application server runs like a JVM. So whenever we deploy ER file, right? I told you ER file we use to deploy to a Websphere application server. It runs like a JVM, it loads the ER file into it, then only it gives the output to end user. Any questions here? questions here, everyone? Okay, all right. I'm moving to next point. This is the basic understanding of JVM. Now, let us see what is an ER file and what are all the things it contains. I'm discussing about .er file now. Sorry. Sorry guys, bear with me. I'm suffering with severe cold. Okay, come to ER file. ER file is a combination of two modules. One is called as web module. Second one is called as EJB module. So ER file is a combination of two modules, web module and EJB module. So you may confuse like what is web module and what is EJB module. You haven't heard these terms so far. Let me tell you. Suppose that you are working with some online banking application. You are working with an online banking application. Let us imagine. When you hit the URL, can someone tell me what do you see first? When you hit the URL, can someone tell me what do you see first? Guys, please unmute and tell me. When you hit the banking URL, what do you see first? What is the first page you see?
Login page.
Obviously login page, right? So that login page must be designed by using some markup language, yes or no? Does anyone of you know what is a markup language?
It's HTML.
Excellent. So everyone know what is HTML? Aziz, Venkatesh, do you know what is HTML?
Yeah, it's a hypertext markup language.
Right. Hypertext markup language. We use these markup languages for designing of web pages. See, the name itself indicates, right? Markup language. Markup is nothing but makeup. We need to design the pages, right? The checkboxes, radio buttons, submit buttons. All these are part of this HTML programming only. Whatever the look and feel that you see, right? That is nothing but HTML if it is a Java program. So whenever you invoke the application, it shows something to you. The graphics, the colors and all are part of HTML only. Okay. Web module contains HTML and servlets. What is this servlet? Any one of you know Java? Basic Java? Does any one of you know basic Java?
Yes.
Yes. Can you tell me what is a servlet?
It actually it is a Java program that acts as a server. It takes in a request and gives a response to the web page.
Good. Actually, servlet is a server-side Java program. Servlet is a server-side Java program. It accepts the request, it accepts the HTTP request, and it gets HTTP response. That is the job of a servlet. So servlet takes your request and gets the response. In an example, I can say like once you enter your username and password in online banking site, right? Once you click on login, it takes your username and password and it validates against the existing data and it gives you your home page. Making sense, everyone? This is the job of a servlet. Servlet is a server-side program. It's a pure Java code. Of course, you don't write all these things. We should know about all these things. Servlet is a pure Java program. It takes HTTP requests and it provides some HTTP response. That's it. Simply saying, once you log in, once you click on login, it gives you next page. That is the job of a servlet. And next, JSP. JSP means Java Server Pages. Java Server Pages. I can say this is the combination of both HTML and servlet. You don't need to write design on a separate program and execution code like request response on a separate code. You can combine these two. It's a combination of HTML and servlet. Java Server Pages we call it as. You can write JSP pages directly. So it can show you the design. It can accept your request and process the response. That is called as JSP. These are the three things we do have in web module. I'm repeating again. HTML, markup language. Servlet, a server-side program, takes the request and processes the response. JSP is the combination of servlet and servlet and HTML. These three things we need for an application, you know already. So these are part of web module. And in organizations, right, developers develop these web modules and they prepare a zip file called as var. Var means web archive. Var means web archive. So all the HTML, servlet, JSPs together, they form a zip file that is called as a var. This is called as web module. Hope everyone is clear here. If you have any questions, you can ask me, guys. So this is called as web module. Each web module contains a file called as web.xml. This is also called as the deployment descriptor. This is also called as deployment descriptor. You may ask me, what is the purpose of this web.xml? Why should I have this web.xml? So if you access Gmail, right, what is your first page always?
Home page.
Home page. If you log in, once you log in into Gmail, what's the next page? What is the next page you see once you click on login? Your inbox, right?
Inbox.
So is it giving you sent items once you log in? Or is it giving you drafts? Or is it giving you some personal folder once you log in? No, right? Always whenever you log in, it gives you inbox only. Why? Because it is written in web.xml. In web.xml, everything will be written clearly. What is the first page? What is the next page? What is the error page? All the directions will be given in web.xml. So that application reacts accordingly. That is called as deployment descriptor. Of course, this is the headache of developer, not us. We are administrators. We don't do all these things, but we should know all these things. Okay, so that is about var module or web module. Each web module contains its own deployment descriptor called as web.xml. This is about first part of ER file. Now, what is the next part? See, the next part is called as EJB module. EJB means Enterprise Java Beans. EJB means Enterprise Java Beans. So what an EJB module contains? See, EJB modules contain three things. One is called as sessions, entity, and MDB. Sessions, entity beans, and MDB. Can any one of you tell me what is a session? As is, maybe you are in testing, you must know this. What is session? What is a session? Anyone know what is this session? Hello. Does anyone of you know what is a session? No? At least say no, guys, so that I can go ahead and I can tell. Fine.
No.
Thanks. See, whenever you log in into an application, right? Suppose I'm working with a shopping cart application, say eBay or Amazon, whatever. The moment I log in, right? The moment I log in, right? A session will be created inside the server. A session will be created inside the server. Suppose I deployed this EAR file to my Websphere application server. Once I log in, right, a session will be created inside the server. A memory space will be created inside the server, which is called as session. Whatever you purchase, right, they'll be saved in that session. Suppose I purchased item 1, it will be saved. Purchased item 2, it also will be saved. The moment when I sign out, when I check out, right, in fact, when I check out, it shows you the list of all items you purchased. Yes or no? It shows you all the items you purchased, right? So how these are saved, how these are being saved? Nothing but a session. So a session will be created immediately when you log in, and all the items will be saved in that session. That is the purpose of session. The code is related to enterprise Java Beans. For some applications, right, you don't need sessions. Suppose you want to search some content in Google, you don't need to log in for that, and you don't need to track the things. You can go ahead. But a few applications need sessions to save the data. So I can say session is nothing but the memory space inside the server, or the data that you save between login and logout is part of session. Right. Next, what is entity beans? Okay. See, if I ask you something like there is a cricket player, batsman. He has so and so number of centuries. Is this permanent data over years or not? Tell me. Do you think it is permanent data over the years? Do you think it is permanent data over the years? Or is it a temporary one?
Temporary.
Temporary? Sure. After 10 years, will it be lost or will it be there?
It will be there.
Then how can we say temporary? It's permanent, right?
Yeah, yes.
So a cricket player's statistics, permanent. So over the years it will remain same. So this is called as data persistency or permanent storage of data. So if you want to save data permanently over the years, we need entity beans. We need entity beans. Entity beans are part of EJB again, Java program again. So these help you to save the data permanently over the years. Suppose if you have 1000 rupees in your bank account, if you don't make transaction for 1 year, no problem. You will have your money safe, right? Bank will not remove your money. That is persistent storage. Okay. So that is the use of entity beans. To store the data permanently, we use entity beans. Next, MDB. MDB means message driven beans. The name itself indicates message driven beans. To send receive messages, we use MDBs. To send receive messages, we use MDBs. So these three are part of EJB module. So ER file contains basically two modules, guys. One is web, it has its own deployment descriptor, and next is EJB. It also has its own deployment descriptor. Usually EJBs are in the form of .jar. and the deployment descriptor is ejb-jar.xml. ejb-jar.xml. So this is the deployment descriptor for EJB module. So developers prepare all these things. And they combine all these things together to form an EAR file. So EAR file is a combination of web and EJB modules. EAR file also has a deployment descriptor called as application.xml. So overall application details are available here. All the application details are available here. This file is called as application.xml. Any questions about EAR file? Of course, you don't prepare it, guys, but we should be clear with EAR file. In future, we deploy EAR files, right? That time you will see all these things. Any questions? Aziz, any question? I'm unable to hear you, Aziz.
Hello?
Yeah. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Like the two modules in the EAR, there are two modules, right? The web module and the EJB module.
Yes.
After that, what is the application.xml? I did not catch that point.
Okay, fine. See, web module contains its own deployment descriptor called as web.xml. EJB module has its own deployment descriptor called as ejb-jar.xml. Overall application altogether, ER has one deployment descriptor called as application.xml. This is the file at application level, whereas those files are at module level. That's it. So the combination of web.xml and ejb-jar.xml is nothing but application.xml. Got it? Lot of noise. You got it, Aziz? Okay. So maybe Venkatesh, you clear with the ER file? Shall I go ahead?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Yep. Thank you. Now I am listing down a few Java things that we use in day-to-day activities. Sorry. These are a few Java things that we use in Websphere. By default, Websphere has all these things. It uses all these things, but let me explain what they do. The first one is JDBC, Java Database Connectivity. The name itself indicates Java Database Connectivity. Suppose there is an application called as online banking. If you want to access this application, first you need to log in. Once you log in, it verifies your username and password, where these usernames and passwords will save. Or you made a transaction, it will update your data, your amount data. So where this gets updated. So where do we save the data generally? For applications?
Database.
Obviously database, excellent, thank you. So we save the data in database. If you want to make a transaction or if you want to view information, application has to connect to database and it has to fetch the data, right? So application cannot talk to database directly. That is the problem here. Application cannot talk to database directly. It uses Websphere as a middleware. It it uses WebSphere as a middleware. So WebSphere helps the application to talk to database by providing a service called as JDBC. So JDBC is the mediation service. In fact, it allows the application to talk to database. There are few points we need to, few options we need to give that I will discuss while implementation. So JDBC means Java Database Connectivity. It helps your application to talk to database. Hope I am clear, guys. Application cannot talk to a database directly. So WebSphere provides a service called as JDBC. By using this, application talks to database. This is one of the services that WebSphere provides to the application. Next, similar to that, we have JMS. JMS means Java Messaging Service. Application cannot use all the messaging services directly. So application server allows the application to use messaging services by using JMS. So by using JMS, application can talk to messaging resources. Next, JNDI. JNDI means Java Naming Directory Interface. Java Naming Directory Interface. Why we use this JNDI? What is the purpose of JNDI? Okay, so if someone come to you and ask you, where did you keep this document in your computer? How do you say? How do you answer them? How do you answer them? How do you answer them? If you ask me, Ravi, where you have this document, how should I tell you? Tell me. You can ping me, guys. If you have any problem in talking, you can ping me also. There is chat option. Your questions and all you can ping me. Okay, fine. Let me tell you. See, we provide the path, right? We say like in C folder, ABCD directory. There I have 1234 document. Just refer that. That is the path you give. So similarly, once you deploy the application, if application wants to access any WebSphere resource, any WebSphere service, we use JNDI names. When you give JNDI name, right? Application will be mapped to that JNDI name, that resource by using JNDI name. This you can understand once you see practically only, not now. Just remember, JNDI is a naming service by using which application binds to the resource. Application talks to the resource by using JNDI names. Hope it is clear, guys. If you have any question, you can stop me and ask me at any time. Next, JMX. What is this JMX? Java Management Extensions. JMX means Java Management Extensions. So what is this Java Management Extensions? What does it do? Okay, so before going to explain this, let me tell you a simple example. You are editing a Word document, guys. You are editing a Word document. You try to close it. What it asks you? What will it ask you?
Do you want to save it or not?
Yes. If you click on save, what happens? If you click on save, what happens?
It will save the document.
All the changes. Yeah, go ahead.
File name with extension DOC or DOX or something like that.
Yeah, that is fine. So the underlying point here is when you click on save, all the changes, whatever you make, will get permanent to the document. Yes or no? If you don't save, you will lose those changes. Right? So if you click on S, the changes the data, whatever you type or whatever you design, will get permanent to the document. If you don't save, you will lose the document. You will lose the data. After 1 month, if I want to see the data, can you see? If you say no, you can't see, right? If you say yes, you can see after 1 month also. So here, JMX is the framework, Java Management Extensions. It is helpful for us to set the data and to get the data. Suppose I created a new server, server 1. Okay, when you create a new server, it saves the information to Websphere, and in future when you want to start the server, it gets the server information from Websphere. So that's why I'm saying it uses set to save the data and get to retrieve the data. So JMX is the framework that is useful for us to set and get the data. Are we clear? Sorry. Okay, that is JMX. Next, JAS. What is JAS? JAS means Java Authentication and Authorization Service. JAS means Java Authentication and Authorization Service. It is clearly explaining you, right? It is for security. It is for security. If you enable security and all, we need JAS. It is the underlying service. Helps us to log in, log out, and to provide any sort of security, any form of security. JAS, Java Authentication and Authorization Service. Next, JTA, Java Transactions API. Java Transactions API. Can any one of you tell me what is a transaction exactly? What is a transaction? What is a transaction? See, daily you do transactions, right? You transfer funds and all, right? So what is a transaction? Hello? What is a transaction, guys? Okay, let me explain. See, transaction is nothing but a change of state or a set of actions that make some sense. Suppose I'm sending some funds from my account to my friend's account. So Prashanti is sending some funds from her account to my account. Okay, there are two actions in it. The first action will be like Prashanti's account. In Prashanti's account, the amount will be deducted. That is the first action. Once it is deducted, it will be added to my account. That is second action. So together we call it as a transaction. Understand? Prashanti, did you understand? You are sending money, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this transaction is a set of two actions. First action, you will lose the money. Second action, I will get the money. Now we call it as a successful transaction, right? Suppose if money is deducted from your account and if it is not credited to my account, is it a successful transaction? Do you feel it is a successful transaction?
No.
No. Then do you rely that application? Is the application reliable if it is happening every time? Money is deducting from your account, but it is not credited to others' account.
It's not reliable.
It is not reliable and I never use that application.
Yeah.
So all the transactions we make should be successful. So for that, JTA ensures your transactions to be successful. It uses two effective keywords called as commit and rollback. It uses two effective keywords, commit and rollback. It observes actually if money is properly deducted from your account and added to Ravi's account or not. If it is done properly, it calls commit. Commit means success. Or it simply calls rollback, means money will get back to your account. You will get back money to your account. In both cases, it should be fine, right? If some error occurred, you will get your money back. If everything is fine, Ravi will get the money. Both are okay, right? Yes or no?
Yeah.
You will never be in loss. So that is the use of JDA, Java Transaction API. It uses two effective keywords, commit and rollback, to ensure whether our transactions are successful or not. So these are a few Java things that WebSphere uses by default. JDBC, JMX, JDA, JTA. Any questions, guys? Any questions among these? So are we clear? Say yes, no, maybe, guys. I'm not hearing you at all of you.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Now let us discuss a few normal things. Can someone tell me the differences among these and what are these? What is host name? Hope everyone knows what is host name.
It's like a DNS name. I mean,
Okay.
like
Okay. Any other answers? What is host name?
or else you can say it's like a server name.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Host name is nothing but computer name that you are working. Right? See, I'm working on my laptop. My laptop will contain a host name. Your machine will contain a host name. Host name is nothing but a system name. See, my system name is Ravi. Okay. Host name is nothing but a system name. See, here we are working with individual systems, but in organizations, right, you will have thousands of machines. How can you differentiate? How can you say WebSphere on this machine and web server on this machine and database is on this machine? Depends on host name. So simply host name is nothing but the name of the computer, the name of the machine. Every computer will have its own host name. Next, what is IP address? What is IP address? You might have heard many times. What is IP address?
It is an identifier for the computer.
Hmm. That's true. Any more? Okay, I'll tell you. No worries. As I told you, right, when you have hundreds of systems, we all connect them in a network. In organizations, we connect all of them in a network. Each and every system, each and every computer will have its own unique address called as IP address. See, you might have seen IP addresses will be like this. So if you open command prompt, just if you type ipconfig, see, this is the IP address of my machine. If someone want to contact my machine, if someone want to copy the data, if someone want to execute something on my machine, they should use this address. This is the IP address of my machine, 192.168.0.103. Like that, every computer will have its own unique address called as IP address. Hope it is clear. Next, local host. What is localhost? Did you hear this term anywhere? Localhost?
Slow your local computer.
Yes, nothing but the machine you're working on is called as localhost, and the machines apart from your own machine are remote hosts, right? So if you sit in front of a machine, that is your local host, and other machines are remote hosts. That's the difference between local host and remote host. Next, does anyone of you know what is this number? 127.0.0.1? Any idea?
Default IP for local host. Default IP.
Excellent. So this is called as loop back address. This is called as loop back address. So if you try to contact this machine, right, it in turns contact your own machine only. That is why it is called as loop back. It comes back to you only. It is equal to localhost, guys. 127.0.0.1 is equal to localhost. It is called as loopback address. If you want to contact your own computer, then you should use these two. If you want to contact any other machine, you should use that host name or that IP address. So simply saying, in WebSphere, if you want to contact particular machine, if you want to install WebSphere on particular machine, or if you want to try to get the data from particular machine, you should use hostname or IP addresses. Are we clear? Any questions?
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Then what is the difference between like a static and dynamic IP? In which case we use this dynamic and static IP?
You see, usually we always go with static IP for enterprise systems
Okay.
because, see, I installed WebSphere on this IP address, let us say 192.168.1.1.1. Okay. If I reboot the system, the same IP should be there, right?
Yeah.
If not, your WebSphere servers will not start. If you see dynamic IP, if you say dynamic IP, the IP will change day to day when you restart the machines, right? It takes whatever is available. So the already installed product will not work in that case. If it is static, right, every time you will see the same IP address and application server works fine. We go with static only. Okay. Yeah. So this is the story of host name or IP address or local host, whatever. Next concept and important concept, port numbers. Have you ever heard of port numbers? Have you ever heard of port numbers? What is the port number? What is port number?
It is something like what to say, a way to enter to the system, like like a door. What you can say.
Right.
I mean, machine runs on different ports, and we can connect through the system in different ports,
Right.
like just like a way.
True. Any more answers? Any more answers? Port number. Okay, let me tell you. Suppose in my WebSphere, in my computer, I have 10 WebSphere servers. I want to talk to server 1. How can I talk? I want to talk to only server 2. How can I talk? I want to talk to server 3. How can I talk? Suppose I have a list of people here, as is Devi, Prashanti, Venkatesh. I want to talk to Venkatesh. How can I talk to him personally? I should call Venkatesh mobile number. Yes or no? That is nothing but port number. Every individual service in an operating system will have a port number for it. If you want to talk to or if you want to contact that particular service, right, you have to use that port number. Simple. Every WebSphere application server has its own set of port numbers. If you want to talk to that service, you should use those port numbers. Clear? See, port number is general number. The range of port numbers is 1 to 65,535. You can give any port number in between this range, 1 to 65,535. That is the range of port numbers, and people say like 1 to 1024 are system reserved port numbers. People say 1 to 1024 are system reserved port numbers for default system services. So usually we give port numbers after 1024. Usually we give port numbers after 1024. Once you start installing Websphere, then you will come to know what is port number and where we use it. So as of now, port number is a number to contact specific service in a machine or computer. I hope we are clear, guys.
We use port 443 for HTTPS, right?
Sorry, 443, yes, that's true.
And we are giving, below 1000, right? That port.
You can give 80 also. See, normal HTTP port is 80, right?
Yeah.
So you can give, but usually people say these are system reserved port numbers. That's it. You can give any port number if you want. Doesn't mind. Websphere takes no problem. I'll show you. Okay. So this is the host name and this is the port number. Hope you guys are clear. This is very important, guys. When you start installing Websphere, you will see all these things, host names and port numbers. Next, let us imagine there are two Websphere application servers in a computer. Listen carefully. There are two Websphere application servers in a computer. I'm just naming them as S1 and S2. Okay. S1 has port number called as 9080 and S2 has a port number of 9081, and the IP address of this system is 192.168.1.101. Now I deployed applications, two applications. One is bank application, that is to S1, and the second one is shopping cart application, that is to S2. This is the setup I prepared already. Any questions here? See, in a machine I have two Websphere application servers. I installed, I configured. Those are the port numbers of application servers, and that is the IP address of the machine, the computer. Okay. Now tell me how to access the application. I want to access bank application. How do you access applications?
IP address colon 9080 /bank.
Any more? That's correct. See, if you want to reach application, right, first you have to reach computer. Usually we use HTTP protocol to transfer or receive the data, hypertext transfer protocol. You can use HTTPS as well, set your way. That is your choice, your wish. And we have to reach the machine first. So you should use IP address or host name of the machine. Then once you reach machine where you have your bank application, it is in S1. I want to contact S1. How to contact specific service by using port number, I told you, right? So here we use port number. Then how to contact application. See, every application contains a name, unique name called as context root. Context root. Application developer designs this context root. If you give this, then only application will send a response. This is the URL how we access the application. So in reality, http:// 192.168.1.101 whatever 9080 slash bank.html. This is how it looks like. This is how we access the deployed application to Websphere application servers. And DNS guys, right? In organizations, they do the changes, DNS changes, networking changes, and it becomes www.bank.com, right? We use this way, right? But when you hit this URL, it converts like this, and it goes to specific server in the backend. Are we clear, guys? Are you understanding the things?
How that port 9080 is hiding?
Why hiding?
I mean, you entered bank.com, right?
Yeah, that is DNS change. There will be forward lookup and reverse lookup. There will be forward lookup and reverse lookup. Forward lookup means it changes to host to IP and next IP to this URL. That is networking change. Networking guys will do that. We don't do that. There is no hiding concept. End user will not know all these things. End user just type the URL. That's it. Just see in Google what is DNS lookup. DNS, domain naming service. DNS forward lookup and reverse lookup. You'll get an idea. Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how we access the application. Now listen carefully. Very important. If Ravi hits www.bank.com, what would be Ravi's first page? What will I get first? What's the first page?
Login page.
Okay,
Whatever bank.html.
back.html login page. If Venkatesh accesses the same application, what's the first page?
Same one.
Same one. If Devi accesses the site, what's our first page? Same again, right? Irrespective of number of people, the response that it delivers is same. Irrespective of number of requests, the response that it delivers is same. Now, I logged in with my credentials. Will I get the same page as you or will I get different data on my page? Devi, can you tell me? If you log in into your bank account, if I log in into my bank account, do we see the same data or different data?
Different data.
Obviously different data. But earlier we discussed same page, but now it is different upon login, right? So the first page what you see is called as static content. It never changes from user to user. The first page whatever we see is called as static content. Whenever you access the site, right, the first thing that we see is static content. It never changes from user to user. Whereas once you log in, the data will be changed, right? The pages also will be changed. That is called as dynamic content because it is varying from user to user. If Ravi logs in, Ravi see his own data, and if Prashanti logs in, she will see her own data. Yes or no? This kind of pages are called as dynamic pages. This data is called as dynamic data. dynamic content. So there are two things here you need to understand. One is called as static content. Second one is called as dynamic content. Am I clear? Am I clear, guys?
Yes.
Okay. Now listen carefully. 1,000 people are accessing www.bank.com. So server 1 gives you 1,000 responses. What are those 1,000 responses? First response,
Login page.
login page only. So for the same information, you are hitting the server 1,000 times. Is it burden to server or not? Is it a burden to server or not?
Yeah.
Suppose I'll tell you a stupid example, try to understand. If you are a manager, you are in a meeting. Okay, people are coming to meet you from outside. Every time you are going out and saying, boss, I'm in a meeting, I'll talk to you later. 1,000 people came to you like this. How many times you have to go out? 1,000 times. Is it a disturbance for you or not? Obviously, right? Obviously, you are doing your work, and for the same nonsense, you are going out 1,000 times. Instead of doing all these things, if you tell the same thing to a guy, and if you keep that guy outside of your door, let us say your PA, will it work? Do you need to respond 1,000 times? Guys, got my point? Did you get my point?
Yeah.
If you say the same thing and if you keep your PA outside of the door, do you need to respond 1,000 times? Not even one time, right? Whoever comes,
No.
PA will respond. They'll go out. Yes or no?
Yes.
So here also we do the same. What we do, we keep web servers in front of application servers. We keep web servers in front of application servers so that they can provide you static content. So whenever the request comes, right, so here we don't use application server port number, we use web server port number. Then the request directly hits web server, then it checks whether it is static content or dynamic content. If it is a static content, web server itself provides the response like login pages and all. Suppose you logged in, you are doing a transaction, then the data will change, right? That is called as dynamic content. Then web server passes the request to application server. Am I clear, guys? Did you understand the difference between static and dynamic contents?
Yeah.
The data that never changes is called as static. The data that changes is called as dynamic. If you keep a web server in front of application server, web server is capable of accepting all static content and dynamic content will be forwarded to application server. That's it. I hope you are clear. Static and dynamic. No? Isn't it clear? I'm not hearing anyone.
Yeah, it's clear. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Next point, the last point for the day. Basic WebSphere structure. See, this is the basic WebSphere structure. This circle is called as cell. This square box is called as node. And this box is called as server. So, if you install WebSphere, right, you will get a cell, you will get a node, and you will get a server. So what is this cell node server? See, cell, node, server are logical boundaries. Sorry, cell is a logical boundary. Inside that you will have a node. Inside that we will have a server. Cell and node are logical spaces or logical boundaries. Server is the one that works. To this server only we deploy our ER files. We never deploy applications to cell or node. We always deploy applications to servers. These two are just names. Just remember them as names. Cell is a boundary where you have nodes. Node is the space where you have servers. Server is the one to which we deploy the applications and we access them back. Are we clear, guys? Any questions? Cell, node, server.
Repeat one more time.
Yeah. See, I'll tell you with an example. Let us imagine your college as a cell. Let us imagine there is a college, it has a cell. And inside college, you will have classrooms, right? That is a node. Let us imagine node is a classroom. And inside classroom, you have student. That is a server. So tell me, is the college a logic space or is it a moving entity? It is a logical space, right? Inside college, you have a node. That is also a logical space. Inside college, you have a classroom. That is also a logical space. Inside classroom, you have a server. That is student. He works, right? He is the one who works. Not classroom, not college, right? Student only works. Similarly, WebSphere contains a cell that is just a boundary for namesake, a node where you have servers. Server is the one to which we deploy the applications and we get back all the results. Clear now? Clear now, guys? Yes, remember cell is the major folder. Inside that we'll have node, which is a subfolder. Inside node we have server, which is another subfolder. Just remember like this. After installation, you will be clear with all these things. For now, just remember this structure. Cell, node, server. That's it. Okay? I don't say on the first day you will understand. It takes a few days for you to understand this concept. Are we clear? Okay, fine, leave it. If you understand, that is good, or else it is fine, leave it. We'll discuss again. We have further concepts there. I'll discuss about cell, node, and server. Don't worry. So this is our first class basics, guys. You need to understand these things in order to understand next classes. Tomorrow also I discuss basics, a few basics of WebSphere and architecture of WebSphere. Architecture is very, very important to understand. What are the components that WebSphere has, how they react, how they communicate. All these things I'll discuss tomorrow. WebSphere architecture. And we have some basics again. I'll discuss those also tomorrow. Next class we'll start installations. So tomorrow also basics and architecture we'll discuss. If you have any questions, ask me, I'll give you time. If you don't understand anything, go ahead.
This one, the DNS lookup, you said something reverse and what did you say that one?
Forward lookup and reverse lookup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Devi, you have any questions? Prashanti, do you have any questions? Yeah.
No.
You are clear, right, with the things today we discussed?
Yes. Yes.
Prashanti, you?
Yes.
Venkatesh, from your end, any questions?
Yeah, I'm clear, but actually I have one question related to my work.
Yeah,
Since
go
you
ahead.
discussed these host names and ports number, I just want to ask one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, 2 days back I installed an Excel certificate for one of the servers in Dev,
Okay.
and that can be seen by all people in the on-site,
Okay.
which I configured on port 443.
Okay, HTTPS
But
you used.
the same URL cannot be accessed by offshore team.
Okay. Did you
So I
configure
asked them.
did you
Yeah.
configure virtual host?
Yes.
If you configure virtual host, you keep IP addresses there, right?
Yes.
So make sure those are correct.
So correct, but the thing is they cannot telnet to the server on 443, but I can telnet here.
So they are
So
unable to even tell
if
it.
someone, someone like the infra team is restricting the port 443 or
Good point. See, there may be a firewall. You have to open 443 to them, external traffic.
okay.
So just ask your networking team to open 443 port number so that another user can access it from outside world. Else they could not.
Yeah, I mean that's internal application, but the offshore they cannot access.
That is what the point.
Yeah.
Just try it
Okay.
out.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you clear with this today's class?
Yeah.
Good. Aziz, do you have any questions regarding today's class? I'm going to wind up today.
No, I'm fine. Thank you so much.
Yep. So that is guys, that is the first class, basics class. Hope you understand the things. And tomorrow we are going to use, we are going to discuss about another set of basics and architecture of WebSphere. So my request, please join on time. Today we started at around 6:20. So hope tomorrow we'll start at 6 o'clock. Because time is precious for me. I have to go to my office after this. So please join early tomorrow. Thanks for your cooperation. We'll start at 6 o'clock sharp tomorrow, guys. Please plan your things accordingly. Hope you understand. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Meet you tomorrow. Bye bye.